Welcome to the show. We hope you have a blast. Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast. Another business leader, here's a penny for your thoughts. This ain't a regular conversation, baby. This that Dealer Talk. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dealer Talk podcast. My name is Charity. I am your host for the day. Herb is out. He's actually at NIADA right now. So he was planning to be here, but then he got pulled into one of those NIADA meetings that he could not get out of. So all good. We're going to start today with doing a secret shop because we haven't done one in a while and it's my show. Let's play the game, shall we? Let's pick a state. I can never come up with states. Kansas. Let's call him.
Your call may be recorded for quality purposes. Thanks for calling Zech Ford. This call may be recorded for quality assurance. For service, press 1. For sales, press 2. For parts, press... How can I help you today?
Hi, I am looking for a vehicle.
Okay. Is there one that we had on our website or something that you're looking for?
I've been looking for a truck for a while, and I'm kind of interested in F-150s. I used to have one like forever ago, so.
Yeah. So is there one that you saw on our website or you open to kind of, because we've got over 100 F-150s, so.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm pretty open. And okay. Like I said, it's been a minute since I owned one. And so I don't know a lot about what the different the different levels are for them anymore.
Did you possibly want to come in and take a look at kind of what we have and see what options work best for you, or?
Eventually, yes, but I'm kind of in the research stage too. So can you tell me like price ranges?
Yeah, they're going to range. The cheapest one we have is 19,000 to 2014 XLT, so it's going to be pretty base, but they're going to go up to probably about 80,000.
Okay. How much was the first one? The 19,000?
It's 19,750. Uh-huh.
That's a huge range.
Yeah, but absolutely. That's a 14. Yep, and then if you go all the way up to a 23, depending on the package, it can be anywhere 80, possibly 90 grand if you're looking at a Raptor or a Platinum, just depending on what kind of options and everything you're looking for.
Okay, well, I need 4 doors.
Okay.
It's just me and my kids, so like I just need it to be able to put a couch in or like a dresser or a, nothing like massive.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't really need to tow anything.
No, functional. I'm looking for the functionality.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there like a payment that you're targeting or anything like? The 4-door will be pretty simple. There's hardly any regular cabs or standard cab trucks. Most of them are going to be the Super Crew. Okay. Which is going to be your 4-door.
Like my current car payment's like $600. Obviously, I don't want to go above that because, that's a lot. So,
okay. So we're probably going to be looking closer to the $30,000 range, which will probably put us more around the XLT. There might be a Lariat possibly in there. Is mileage important to you, or?
Yeah, I'd like it to be as new as possible. I really, really love finding something that was just like the, one of those ones that like the grandma drove, I guess the grandpa drove, that doesn't have a lot of miles and is new as possible?
Fortunately, we don't. I'll be honest, we don't see those quite as often anymore. Most of our inventory is going to be from some auctions because that's the way we can keep our inventory as fresh as possible. Kind of in that payment range that you're wanting to stay in, the lowest mileage truck I would have would be 31,000 miles.
Oh, okay. What year is that one?
It's a 19. It's an XLT 4-wheel drive. It is the Super Crew. It does have a smaller engine, but it can still tow anywhere probably from 6,500 to 7,500 pounds, which just depend on that gear ratio. It does have a sync. It is going to be a little bit more along the baseline, but it does have backup camera. So it has a few of those safety options, not a ton, but it's a nice truck. It is cloth. It does have the bench seat in the middle. It doesn't have the console.
Okay. And you guys, are you open tomorrow?
No, we are closed on Sundays.
Okay. Okay. Let me do some thinking and I'll call you back on Monday then. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Bye.
No problem. Bye.
Okay. So first thing is that she never asked my name. So she has no way of contacting me back unless she took down my phone number, and then she still doesn't have a way to contact me back without it being awkward because she doesn't know my name. Second of all, she put up a lot of her own objections in that. So I have a customer that gets on the phone with me and they say something to the effect of, well, I'm just doing research right now. That's amazing. That is an incredible opportunity. That means that they are calling you for help to do the research, which means that you could probably get them in the building because they don't know what they're talking about and they are looking for a professional. So one of the things that I would say in an instance like that would be, well, you called the right place because this is what we do all day and we know the trucks in and out. And I know that you said you were just starting the research, but we can cut that time in half by having you come into the building, and I can have you with one of my sales associates that really knows the trucks and he can answer all of your questions. You can touch and feel them, you can drive some of them, and then moving forward, you will know what you're looking for a lot better than just looking at the vehicles online. That's a way to get them in the building. And you've created rapport and you've created trust because you're saying that you're going to be able to help them. The other one is that I literally gave her an opening for a trade. I told her my current car payment and she did not ask me anything about my trade at all. And as I've said in the past, that is an incredible way to get somebody in the building, because if she asked me what kind of monthly payment that I was looking to be at, she asked me what kind of price range I was going to be at, but then she didn't ask me the pivotal question. Do I owe money on my vehicle? What is my vehicle? Am I in a position where that's going to increase my payment or not? And that gets you into the building as well. So I would say that those are three of the main factors with her that could easily have been overcome on the phone. And she didn't ask for the appointment 3 times, and that's a pretty big deal to me as well. So I'm just going to do the one today. We have a fun treat today. We're going to have a little bit of a round table with our NIADA partners, friends, and associates. This is a new one for me. I've never done a round table, so I'm kind of nervous. But let's see what we can get up to. So there we go.
Hey, look at that.
Look at that. Troy's on. How's it going, Troy?
Doing well, doing well.
So this is another thing, because there's 4 of us. Let's say each other's names maybe when we want the other person to talk, I guess.
Okay.
because this will be new for me, this roundtable experience.
Okay.
So, Kendra, what's your title?
I'm the owner operator of Brown Family Auto Sales and founder of the Dream Team Media Company.
Dream Team Media. Okay. So you own
I'm glad to see my brain's not the only one doing that about this time of the day. I'm like, I'm doing well to answer my name. Like, what is your name?
I know. I've been up for a very long time today so far.
And then,
yes.
Michael, what's yours?
Marketing manager, NIADA.
Yeah. And Troy, what's your title?
Director of Marketing and Communications for NIADA.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk. So today on the show, we've got Kendra, Michael, and Troy. Kendra is an owner-operator of a dealership, and she has a marketing company. Michael is the marketing manager for NIADA, and Troy is the director of marketing and communication. Is that what you just told me? And I forgot already.
That is correct. That is correct.
And Troy's at NIADA right now.
He is. Yes. He had to go find a place that was quasi quiet so I could get away from all the activity. It's been wild down here the last couple of days.
I always tell everybody that whenever NADA comes along, I try to convince people to let me go for them, but everybody wants to go. And I'm like, so do I.
Are you having fun, Troy?
It's really been good. I have run into a ton of people and, old relationships and meeting new people. And I mean, they said, I believe they've taken up 40,000 hotel rooms here in the Dallas area.
Wow.
So it's, and from what I'm hearing, people saying that this is probably one of the most well attended that they've seen in a while. So I hope that kind of means too, with things that are going on for just other things in the auto industry, that it's going to be picking up this year.
Yeah, for sure. So we usually start off with just like a introduction and tell us a little bit about yourselves. If you guys want to just really quickly give us like a 1 minute, hi, this is who I am. Kendra, why don't you start?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Hi. All right. So my name is Kendra Brown. I'm the owner operator of a Buy Here, Pay Here dealership in Houston, Texas. We've been in operation since 2013. In about, I was doing the finance and the marketing management, pretty much the back end of our dealership. And then once we realized we had to start marketing online and have, a website presence, I kind of jumped into that, found a passion in digital marketing and analytics, and then started to work in franchise dealerships, managing marketing strategy, building teams, improving processes, and working to make the connection between effective marketing to sales and growth of sales. So how do we make all of that work together? So it was about this time last year that I started to consider opening my own company to do that for dealerships at scale. And I launched officially in the summer of last year. So,
okay,
that's it.
And you like it?
Oh, I love it. I love both. I love the automotive industry, and I really, I'm glad I'm on this here with the NIADA guys, because the associations have been tremendous in helping me grow a career in automotive. When I started, it was a business. It was a family business. I was following in the footsteps of my dad, and with the Buy Here, Pay Here, which I very much enjoy the car business. But it was in the education and learning and meeting other dealers that it became something that was something that I could learn and grow in. So getting into the marketing piece, it's sort of like a never ending learning situation, because you always have to stay ahead of the changes. And then using analytics was like, oh my God, I can measure everything. I can control outcomes. Like, yes, I'm on board. Let's do this. And so it was a passion, and being able to do both, it was always very daunting. Like, oh, I couldn't do the dealership and this, but I've just sort of let it grow, just let it grow naturally where it goes. Of course I'm pushing it along. I'm a competitive person, and very ambitious. And so I have a heart for the automotive industry and for dealers like me, small independents who often do not get access to the same kind of tools and technology that larger dealerships get. So being able to bring that in, enable them, empower them with those skills and those tools, from a consultative perspective, or even in execution, it's my passion. It's my mission. So
yeah, there's so much there. I want to keep talking about that. I told everybody they could introduce themselves. So, Michael, tell us about you.
Absolutely. So my name is Mikael Kourinian. I'm a marketing manager at NIADA. I'm a marketing professional of over 20 years, working in traditional all the way to digital marketing, analytics, strategy. Basically, I've operated my own business for several years. And then when this opportunity came about, took it because I saw the potential. And obviously, it's been a fantastic opportunity working with with the association, as well as all the independent dealers, and helping be the voice of the independent dealers. So it's been fantastic.
For sure. And Troy, what about you?
I am I guess the old guy here, but I've even got Michael outbeat a little bit. No, I've been doing this for about 25 years now. Had my own agency for 20 of it. Got into the automotive. As everybody says, I think you got into the automotive industry by accident, where we had one of our clients was actually in automotive, and we did a great job for them. And they're like, hey, we want you to come work for us. So that's kind of where everything kind of happened there. Folded my agency in with them. And, here 5 years later, now you spent a few years with that company, and now I'm with NIADA and really enjoying, and that was one of the reasons I was so excited to get Kendra on here too, is just to be able to have people that are in the business and understand. And she's got a great grasp of both sides, because a lot of times I think marketing, we can get a little bit too theoretical, and sometimes, not understand the day-to-day of what a dealer's dealing with. And so being able to kind of have that background, and I'm learning as much, it's interesting. Kendra said just starting her business, but I'm learning just as much from folks like Kendra that are doing it, that may have only been in it a few years. We've all got to work together, and that's really been my approach. And that's one of the reasons I'm actually down here at NADA today. It's just, again, to develop those relationships for the automotive community and really understand. I know Kendra mentioned that, a lot of the smaller dealerships, the independents, don't have access to a lot of the things that some of the big franchise groups do. And I know, just talking down here, I think there's a concerted effort for a lot of these companies, that are in the marketing space, to really work more with smaller, that they feel like, hey, we've kind of let them, almost forgotten about them a little bit. And we need to start focusing on that. So that's one of the reasons I'm even down here, is just to get more of those folks, those brands, those partners, solutions providers, to be involved with us to help our dealers.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been an exciting time. There's always something new to learn. Like Kendra said, I mean, it doesn't matter if you've been doing this a year or 25 or 30. Things are changing so much now, and an understanding of how data works and all of that, and being able to have access to that for dealers is just critical.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It never ends with marketing. That's how it is.
Yep, being better together.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealertalk. That's 4eyes.io/dealertalk.
So I have worked most of my career on the franchise side, except for 1.5 years. I went to this little independent dealer in town, sold like 30 cars a month max. And I learned so much in that year versus every year that like the owner operator was a huge advocate for training. He would send me to training all over the country. He would like I was in charge of redoing the website. I learned so much because there was only a couple of people at the dealership. And so everybody had like 5 different roles that they were doing at the same time. But on top of that, the day-to-day impact that one car sale had on everybody in that dealership was so much more significant than in those big franchise dealerships. Like they actually significantly valued every single one of those car deals every day. And I learned so much about valuing a customer from that. Like it was a great experience for me, for sure. But the other thing that I learned is how much the independent dealers they miss out on a lot of the technology, and because they just kind of get overlooked. Oh, that's a buy here, play here place. So, and that's sad because most people, for every one franchise dealer, how many independent dealers are there? And
Exactly correct.
Go ahead, Troy.
No, I was going to say you're exactly correct, and I think I think sometimes that happens on both sides. I think sometimes the dealers feel like there aren't opportunities out there for them, and that communication. And I think that's why it's just so important that as an industry we start communicating better from the side of the dealer, but also being able to help the solutions providers understand that yes, as a matter of fact, we were just talking to somebody today, and they were like, yeah. We just don't feel like that the smaller independents reach out to us, but we feel like we can really add value. And I think one of the things that there is the misconception too is that some of these things are so expensive that a smaller dealership maybe can't afford it. But there are companies out there again who really believe in the industry and the community and what we're building. That again, talking today, there were several companies who were like, well, no, let's figure out how we can work with them. Let's make it work. Because if we can add value there, we can continue to build. There's ways to do these things. We've just got to work together in it. And I think that's the key for all of us, is to find the right people and bringing the right relationships together, because the opportunities on the dealership side and on the vendor side are both there. We just got to be able to connect them.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So let's talk about analytics a little bit, because I loved what you said, Kendra, about the power of numbers. One of the things that I see so frequently in the dealerships is there aren't processes that are written down. There aren't KPIs that are written down. And I say it over and over and over again. The amount of money you lose by not having it written down, by not knowing what your goals are, you hemorrhage money that way. But I don't know if it's an old school, because I've only been doing this for 10 years, but so if that's an old school mentality that, all of the older guys that didn't have technology and they all wrote it down on paper, if that's something for them, but the power of numbers is everything to me.
Yeah, that was the one thing when I would work in my dad's dealership, and I was like, there's a better way to do this, and it's really not expensive. Like we can do it like this. And he's still, even to this day, is like, you and your spreadsheets, and it's weird because he understands the numbers. He knows his numbers. He knows his business very well, very successful. But I think it's going back to what we were saying off camera before we started, was like, the dealer is a gambler. The dealer is a risk taker and likes the thrill, the competition. So they there's, that spreadsheets just slow you down, and you just really gotta, and the hard part of, if you're trying, like, I'm sure you ran into this, Charity, and of trying to improve processes is you have to go through so many iterations of your presentation of the process before you finally get it to the 3 bullet points that'll make it so that they can understand what it is and what the value is. And that's where I spend most of my time is cut. Here's why, here are all the numbers, and this is how it works. I'm like, nope, 3 sentences and that's it. That's all they need. And that's just it. Cause they're wheeling, they're dealing, they got things, they're gamblers. And I'm in that group too. I'm the same. If you put me in my dealership, I have to be very disciplined to sit down and not get up and work that deal. Like that someone else, let the salesman go work that up. I'm working on my numbers in my spreadsheet. I have to contain myself.
I have to say, when you're dealing with that type of personality of that type of business owner, really what you got to do is you bring it down, Kendra, and I agree with you. And then once they're engaged, then you can give them a little bit more. But really, it's one of my past experiences outside of the automotive industry, working in financial services, dealing with brokers and wirehouses during, normal market hours. They really don't have time to listen to what you have to say. So I feel that kind of is also the case in the automotive industry, which is phenomenal. It's bring those skill sets where you can quickly present what you can present, get them to understand the point, and then move on to the next steps and building a better relationship and following through and making sure that they can get the meat on the bones, per se. So that's kind of been my experience, and it's great. It challenges you. You have to be able to say everything in, within 10, 15, 20 seconds. Right words, strategic, concise, and you're good.
Yeah. Which you make it sound like that's so easy to do.
Well, it takes a lot of
He's gotten really good at being succinct.
Well, and I
Troy,
think the key you talk about with analytics there is, if you're not that person that you need, it's always a good idea when you're hiring somebody or bringing somebody else onto the team to think about, what you need in terms of skill sets within your business. And I think that's a critical place, is being able, somebody that can take data and understand it and really, refine it down so that they can then get it to the decision maker and go, okay, here's what you've got. Because some people just don't have that mindset to be able to do that. And that's why it's really critical if you're going to bring, hey, I'm going to bring one more person on. Well, who should that person be? It's like you really need somebody that can help you think in that way and really take information and make something actionable from it. Because again, there's so much noise and so many data points and so many things that are coming in now with all of the digital elements and as we grow on our phones here, there's data coming in from there. There's just so many data points that if you don't have a way to pull it together and then somebody that can take that information and all those numbers and go, okay, based upon this, here are the actions you should take. And if you don't have that, that's when you end up wasting money on your marketing spend, on your advertising and things like that, because you may be making a decision on information that you think is important. But as you start looking at the big picture, you're going, oh, well, crap, that wasn't as important as I thought it was. I really should have been looking at these 2 places. So having that person, I think, is critical. And I think that's something that's really happening in the, where things are going from an education standpoint now, too, just talking to colleges as my children are going to school, is that data analytics is going to be an important part of where people go, no matter what size. If you're a, 2 or 3 person shop or a, 20, 23, 25 rooftops, you've got to make sure that you've got that data and can manage with it.
Yeah, because that data manager is also basically an engineer. What you're doing is you're engineering data, mapping it out, making sure that you're collecting the right information, and then they start plugging it in and you get a bigger picture of what's going on. But it really takes an engineer to understand, what are we looking for? How are we going to obtain that information? And what medium are we using basically to bring that in, to import that info, put it in that spreadsheet or whatever tool you're using, but be able to bring it in and then interpret the data. So that's what it comes down to.
And the next piece, though, that I bet is already, you're probably seeing it there at NADA. I haven't seen it happening with any vendors for the independents, but this is something that I hope to do quickly with Dream Team Media is let's take it from data analytics and interpretation, where all we can say about that, all we can do with the data we have is ask some questions. You know, this is the data. We see correlation. We do not have cause and effect yet. The next step is to take it into some models, regression models, to find what is actually of statistical significance. And so you can say, you know, so the marketer who comes and says, well, your impression share is XYZ. Well, have we put it into a model to know that my impression share is actually influencing the outcome? And it may be to a certain extent, but then we can allocate budget accordingly. So if I put all of my metrics in there into a model and I say, let's find the most significant things that I need to work on and have it in ever evolving model so that I can constantly see what metrics are important towards the final outcome. And that's how I can allocate my budget accordingly. That's what's exciting. That's my next frontier. I'm sure someone's already done it, but I'm going there for the buy here, pay here's.
Even if somebody's already done it, doesn't mean that there isn't more to learn and more to know.
Exactly.
You can always make it better. I mean, again, because no one person knows it all. That is, you know,
that's true.
A definite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of a non-car analogy is when you go into the doctor and you've been taking all of these different medications and been prescribed all of these different things, your doctor is the one who knows that the reason that you are sick every morning is because these two medications don't go well together. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. As dealerships, we have a tendency to go, oh, look at the next shiny object. Herb calls it FOMO. We fear the fear of missing out, right? I want to try this one. I want to try this one. And you don't realize from a dealership level, the impact that that's having on your customer base when they get 15 emails from 5 different vendors. And if you don't have somebody in place to see that, then that's your problem right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
and also
key,
once you figure out who your audience is, that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then second of all, you need to find out where your audience is, right? That's why you have the different means, whether it's digital or traditional marketing, mailers, or whatever it may be. For example, in today's world, we're looking at digital more, especially after COVID. A lot of things changed, so we've relied more on digital. And so we need to know, where is our audience? What's the medium we need to use to reach them? So that's what it comes down to. That's where the data engineer comes in, the person who understands the information and can interpret and then figure out, how do we put this into implementation? Mm-hmm. How do we achieve what we're looking for, which is to get to our audience, to make sure they receive the message and it's done effectively.
And an important thing internally that needs, this is where, marketing, it has a touch in all areas, in the operations, in the sales, in, the follow-up, because if you're not collecting that information on your customer, if you're just ignoring, well, it doesn't matter if I put up their male or female. Well, it could matter if we see that your buyer skews female. That's going to influence our marketing, mm-hmm. and or if it skews young or old. There's so many different things that we can kind of build a profile to understand the value that your customer is seeking, and even survey data. Like, let's put that in there. Let's find out what they say is valuable, so that you can continue to not just continue to target that, but build the loyalty. Like, let's build that loyalty loop at your dealership, so that that's cheaper. I mean, you're saving money there. That's cost efficient marketing if you're going to build a loyal base and have a referral base coming back too. So.
Oh yeah. I completely agree. Okay. So moving things along a little, Kendra, one of the things that you had said is that the NIADA had given you like this power to build your dealership beyond what you knew. And I want to explore that a little bit, because I think that that's huge. But the dealership that I worked at was not associated with NIADA, and he struggled all the time to just make ends meet. And I'm interested to see what the impact of NIADA is on your.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, like, my husband and I got to a point where we were like, we're missing something. Like, we have knowledge gaps. And so we actually our first conference, we went to TIADA, our Texas Association. And that was, we met so many people, and we didn't even go to the expo hall. Like, we weren't in a position to be spending more money, so we were there to learn. And they had like a Facebook expert, a Google expert, and I just learned so much. And that was it. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more we can be doing for so many, and there's so much data to support it, because they all come in with like metrics and data to support it. Like, now we know like 99% of people are looking at cars online. Back then it was, when we went, they would give us metrics like, actually nobody cares that your dealership is family owned. Like, that is the least important thing to a buyer when they make a decision of what dealership they want to go to. And that was pretty eye-opening. Those so that's it. And then when NIADA came to, another thing at those associations was we had lots of dealer roundtables, where you got to speak with dealers who had already gone through your pain points. And so I had heard then about 20 groups, and I heard them talk about it. And so when NIADA was in San Antonio after COVID, we opted to, that would be our conference for the year. We went to that one instead. And they were doing a lot with 20 groups. And I told my husband, I was like, we're doing this. We're getting in a 20 group. And it was really important for us as a married couple, especially like he was doing the operations. I had a lot of knowledge, but it's really hard to tell your husband, telling him to put the dishes in the sink, like, that's marital stuff. But to go, and now we're in business and your husband's telling you to do this, like, we love our marriage, So the 20 group is a great way I saw, like, for him to, like, let's meet, let's get you in with some other dealers, and thankfully we got in a group where it's a lot of married couples, so who are hands-on in their operations. So it's like, we are just well matched with colleagues. I have a peer network now, because I couldn't do that very well in my local area because we're competitors, and there's this sense of scarcity, in competition, that you're not going to give too much to somebody. You're going to be very selective of how you share information. But the 20 groups really gave us a network of continual knowledge through the 20 groups, and just the educational events they do as well. So yeah, any association, just go find people, find friends in the industry, and
a support group.
Yes.
Michael and Troy, what do you think what would you say the one the best thing that NIADA brings to dealerships? Each of you.
I'll let you go first, Michael.
Excellent. Well, for me and what I've understood, and I believe this is applicable, it's bringing that 75 plus years of experience, being in the industry, being the voice of independent dealers. And I think throughout the years, how many dealerships can say 75 plus years? Now, when the members come together and the association itself all together, we're talking about hundreds of years of experience now. So it's not just NIADA, it's NIADA and the members together as a community, as one body coming together and bringing that level of experience that you're not going to get on your own. So I think that's one of the things that I've learned that's been mind-blowing, because can you imagine if this was applied to other areas of other industries? It would be phenomenal. I mean, having this much of a network and support, especially with what Kendra said with the 20 groups, it's amazing. That's what I think is the biggest important item for me, basically, I would say.
Troy?
Yeah, and I concur. I mean, it's what I see here from that education standpoint. That's what we all need. I mean, the thing that we can get the most of is education and experience, because we don't know it all. We don't know what's going on, and one person can't get it. We're like, Kendra's talking about, you've got the 20 groups where you've got now 20 different dealership groups, people who are being able to bring best practices together and go, oh, well, gosh, I didn't even think about that. And now you've got this group of people who are sharing and really truly invested in each other. And I think that's the key, and the thing that I've seen that I was, pleasantly surprised about, because like Michael said, a lot of industries don't do this, but you can tell, obviously, you even the guy across the street, you want him to do well. Now, you're not going to necessarily give him all your secret sauce and tell him everything, but I think it's the fact that what I've seen is that we're trying to, the NIADA as an association, but then the members, the board members, all the people that are involved, even the vendors and solutions providers and things like that. Everybody is really, really focused and really genuinely focused on educating the dealers to help them, because they realize too, without a strong dealership community, they don't have the business. So it's like it's just one of those situations where the more that we can help that dealer, and that's why we're just so dealer focused, and making sure that we bring those people together. That, and then also, it's kind of one of those pops off to your top of your head, but we've got an advocacy group up in Washington, D.C. to help with all of the political and the things going on there, the rules and regulations that, there's a lot of stuff that's happening that if you don't have somebody there, you don't know about it, and it impacts your business. Mm-hmm. So it's really that conduit of all this knowledge, bringing it together in a way that focuses on the dealer. Mm-hmm. And again, it's one of those things, you hear, yeah, we're concerned about the dealer, and you kind of, sometimes I think, just especially after you've been in the industry for a while, just in business in general, you're like, yeah, that's a nice saying, but I see the action. I don't just see it as that's a great talking point or a great slogan or something that we want to use to make us all feel good, but I truly see that mentality in action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to add to the whole, when you brought up the advocacy, and I think, there's a sense of also, once you get into the associations and you take, then there's a sense of like wanting to give back and like continue to go, so I've always gone and learned, and this will be my first year. I'm going to go to my state's day at the Capitol and be a dealer voice. They give me the talking points. I don't know what we're talking about, but they need dealers there to represent. So I was like, well, I'll take time. I'm giving back, but that's great. Like, it's great for the industry to build credibility and to have, relationships to just bring the industry to accomplish what it's intended to do, which is empower people with automobiles, and so.
Well,
yeah, that's why we say for our slogan for our 20 groups, it's more than just the 20 group. Mm-hmm. we're not there to sell you anything. We're here to help you. And we're also the voice of independent dealers with our advocacy direction. And how many can say that, right? How many 20 groups can say that? If we're talking about looking at other 20 groups, and even though they can bring some of that education, but we can bring more. And that's the key with the benefit of being at NIADA.
Well, this has been amazing, you guys. I have one question that we ask everyone that comes on the show. Well, Herb asks it differently than I do, but where do you see, how can we improve the automotive industry in the next 5 years? Who wants to go?
Well, I'll let Kendra go first, but because she's living it, so that we'll get it right from the somebody living it day to day, and then we can give our thoughts.
I mean, there's so many things.
There's so many things. Is that what you just said?
Well, I think I would like to see some major improvements in technology in terms of its openness and its capabilities. So rather than keeping it all industry centric, I want to see more flexibility in how retailers can use whatever platform they want to organize their dealership. I think that would be an improvement. Then you would have access to the best technology no matter what it was.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 That's a new one for me. That's a good one. I like that one. How about you guys?
I would, Charity, I would say for me, it's making sure we keep that human touch and experience, even though we're running at 100 miles an hour, racing through to get to the technology aspect of things and try to keep up or to be ahead. But let's not forget the human element and the human touch, and make sure we understand it's all about relationships. It's not just going on your computer, typing in a few things, getting the result, and then having your car shipped over to you. But what happens to that experience? Because if you don't understand cars, well, what do? You bought something which you haven't popped the hood, you haven't taken a look at it, you haven't talked to that person, build a relationship, know you can go somewhere, bring that car in, have a conversation, maybe have whatever needs to be fixed, but have that relationship established. So that's one thing that I'd like to see happen, where we go for the technology, but how do we then maintain that relationship aspect of things?
Yeah, I agree. Troy?
And I would say exactly what both of Kendra and Michael said. I see things, and that a lot of what I'm seeing here at NADA and just what's going on from that data perspective, that there's going to be a lot of open source things and a lot of really great things happening on the data front that will allow dealers, again, we go back to talking about data and analytics, to really be able to access a lot more information, but in a single point, where you don't have all this disparate data on individual customers out there. So you're really able to pull it all together to create what some people I've talked to call that the golden customer record, where it really has it all together there, so you know who they are on a human level. And that then ties back into what Michael says. You've got to be able to take that information, the data and the technology, and man, it's great because it's giving us all this information, and it's coming. And I think that's something dealerships are going to have to be aware of, that they've got to start thinking a few years, not being as reactive, being more proactive, and thinking about where are we going to be 2, 3, 4 years down the road, to at least try not to be behind the 8 ball and always trying to play catch up. So that data is coming, and those opportunities are there, and there's a lot of things there. But you've got to be able to take that now and go, okay, how do I utilize all this information I have to be more human with my customers, to be able to reach out and create that relationship? Because ultimately we're buying, no matter what it is, you're really, it's a human to human interaction, and somebody is giving you money because you are doing something to make their life better. Whether it's selling them a car or providing them a service or a software or food, whatever it is, you're taking and exchanging somebody's, they're giving you money to make for you to make their lives better. So you've got to come back to that human interaction. and understand as no matter what industry you're in, whether car dealerships or retail places or lawyers or anything, you've got to create that human interaction. Like Kendra said, when you develop that relationship, now you've got an ongoing customer. Those people talk, and let's face it, we do business with people we like. And if you can create that, utilize data and all those things to make some of the statistical and data choices that you have to do from an operational standpoint or an inventory gathering standpoint, but that all ties back to what do my customers want? And then how do I know, okay, if I'm a dealership that's, I've got 50 of maybe 2 or 3 models of car on my lot, and that's not what my customers want. Well, I need to understand that and make sure I'm not going to be able to sell them something they don't want. So I need to know who they are and to talk to them and create that communication. And it can't be a one-way thing where you're just throwing stuff out to them. It's got to be able to utilize that data that they give that says, okay, I see how Charity likes to do certain things or what's important to her, so that I can make sure that I now can provide an excellent experience once you interact with me, whether it is digitally or in person where I'm, signing something, writing something, whatever, shaking hands. It has to be that. We have to utilize all this to make it better, just create better relationships.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just did, I did a secret shop at the beginning. Whenever I do the episodes by myself, I always secret shop people. And the conversation that I had with the agent was exactly what you're talking about. There wasn't any attempt to figure out what was going on in my situation to create a relationship. They just data dumped on me. And that's so hard to articulate to people that are on the ground. You're like, you can't just give them information. You've got to create a relationship with them. And yeah, that feels like it takes a little bit more time and it feels like it takes a lot more effort, but you'll come away feeling better about your career and you gain yourself a loyal customer who will come back to you over and over and over again. And I think that is how the automotive industry can improve for sure too. So, thank you guys.
Investing in your future.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it. And then if you guys have any questions as listeners, you can, it's NIADA.com.
That is correct.
Okay. Go on over there. And then as always, thank you guys for listening and we will talk later.
We only host a well respected. The vendor LexisNexis. We don't sell digital marketing. What you do? We inspect it with our DT vendor management.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealertalk. That's 4eyes.io/dealertalk.